is happening, everyone? I got Red Bull for a reason, because I got wings. Today is a day that may live in infamy. I'm not sure one way or the other. Yeah, I'll tell you how my morning started real quick before I bring Jaro in. I woke up, didn't look at my phone for a while as usual. It's very, very healthy. I feel pretty good about that. And then I was taking a run, and then I was like, oh, let me check YouTube real quick. Let me see what Sami's talked about or whatever. And then breaking SEC. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, that happened. All right. So yeah, and I watched the video a little bit, and then I tweeted breathe, everyone, because that's kind of what I was feeling at the time too. I'm like, I'm not taking it too seriously yet. And then I watched the video, and then I read the press release or whatever. And then I haven't read the full thing yet, but I read the press release, and I was like, really? It seems like there's some inaccuracies here and there. So I was much more confident and much more calm after I read that. Although I was pretty calm the whole time. But after that, it got better. I'll say that. Anyways, without further ado, let's get Gerardo in. I know I'm an hour and 15 minutes late, but I've had a crazy day. And trust me, I'm here and not going away for at least another hour. So without further ado, welcome Gerardo back to the show. Master of Mintra. What's happening, man?
RHMax, thanks for having me on the channel, man.
Whoa, I can see myself on the computer screen as well. That's cool.
Oh yeah, this is the YouTube, just to make sure if we crash, I can see it, right? It's muted, so we don't get echo. Hopefully there's no echo. But yeah, it's been a minute. Feel a little rusty on this whole YouTube influencer thing, but you've been holding it down. You and the other guys that I've seen steadily growing. Honestly, I thought you had like 2-3K subs, and then I went to check. I'm like, oh, bro has like, what are you, like 5 to 7K now?
7K-ish, somewhere through there.
Yeah.
It's usually the other way. It's funny because sometimes people are like, oh, you got like 10 or 12K subs. I'm like, you're being very generous. I don't, but you went the other way. I like that. It's hard to rate. It's hard to rate the channel. I like it.
Yeah, it's not something I keep track of, but it's cool to see because I haven't been in the scene. Like, honestly, I haven't even been watching that much HEX, PulseX content. I kind of tapered off the consumption of that a few months back, especially when the building got heavy and whatnot with Mintra. And it's cool to just like come back a little out of the loop and just see everyone crushing it, man. Like, people have surpassed my expectations on holding it down on the influencer side of things. So I want to thank everyone who's consistently been making videos in my quote unquote absence the last year on YouTube.
Dude, and just on your absence too, I've been going back, and I've told you in this message too, I've been watching your older videos, especially with the PulseChain dev and just talking about PulseX before all of this stuff was formed. And a lot of the early stuff is really good content. I hope everyone goes back and just type in Gerardo, look at his old stuff. It's only like a year or so old, but like his old, hour-long videos talking deep dives on the different topics in PulseChain and PulseX and the different ecosystem HEX as well. It's really good content. So yeah, we miss your content, man, for sure. If you ever want to start making it again,
it's cool to look back too, because I the other day was watching back some of my old videos, and particularly one about HEX versus PHEX. Watching that play out was so interesting, and watching my take on it, I like how I was very unbiased and try to remain neutral and say, you know what, we don't know what's going to happen. But just watching that one back is kind of fascinating. I'll tweet it one of these days. Go watch it. It's like, I almost think I was smarter back then, because I was like, damn, this dude is riffing. I'm like, wait, that's me. Oh crap. And
that's one of the ones I think I added like a bunch of watch later ones of your videos too. I think that's on the list. I haven't seen that one, but I saw it and I was like, that is a very, see, that's why everyone's like, oh, it's old content. Why are you still watching? It's like, you need to, like, I want to hear things that have not been tainted or biased or otherwise have matured in ways that are kind of like based off the current thing going on. I want to hear the stuff that people thought before all this stuff happened. And you got a lot of different stuff.
Like, see how these predictions aged, or how this speculation on the new stuff aged. Yeah, it's cool to see who was just talking out of their ass and who was really making an effort to be like, you know what, I don't know what's gonna happen, but, and then just laying out all the info you can in the best way possible, which is really the best you can do. Is just lay out the info, lay out the facts, and then let opinions be opinions, because that's all they are at the end of the day. So
exactly. Yeah. But before the chat heats up, I know it's going to heat up, but before it heats up, can you just give us an update? What's going on with Mintra? I've seen the site, looks beautiful. Everyone's excited to see all the projects launching on PulseChain, especially a lot of people have been into Mintra for a while now. What is the state of things? Maybe we'll start with that real quick.
the state of things is Mintra is live on PulseChain testnet v4. For those of you who do not know, it's an NFT marketplace on PulseChain, man. On PulseChain v4. If you had any NFTs before the PulseChain testnet v4 fork, block height, which is like, man, I should know this, man. I always forget it. I remember it's January 26th of this year. So if you own NFTs before that on Ethereum, you have them on testnet before. You can go trade them, as you can see on my screen here. Some people are having fun trading their collections. There's a carousel of real-time trades here. We have these cool socks, some NFTs, some test ones. It's pretty cool. Some Bored Apes actually listed for sale the other day, which I thought was awesome. Let's see. Go to explore sales. Just getting into the weeds here. Yeah, man. A couple Bored Apes, a couple CloneX, and a couple wrapped CryptoPunks, a bunch of HEX and Pulse collectibles, a bunch of NFTs are out here listing their NFTs for crazy prices, man. Like 10 billion Pulse for this guy, 5 billion Pulse for this guy. You know, we don't know if they're going to get these prices because obviously to have this much Pulse on testnet, you definitely need to, you know how it works, right? To have that much Pulse on testnet, you needed to have had it pretty much in your stack of credits or traded your way up on testnet like a madman degen. But
right.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's live on testnet. Go check it out. Test.mintra.pro. Go crazy. But it's out. It's live. We're building in public now. And the everlasting question of when mainnet is TBD.
Never gets old, right? Instead of 2 more weeks, we have Pineapple Love says 3 more months. 3 more months.
Is that the 2 weeks? Nice.
Right now it is. Right now. Yeah. Speaking of Pulse, you know, having enough Pulse to do stuff, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't have enough to be a testnet validator," which was kind of sad. I kind of wish we had a better faucet for that to get people who could learn more and before mainnet launch and all that. But now it's you know, Pulse. I heard there was a dip recently, so you may be able to be a validator for like 2K or something now. I'm just guessing.
Is that the price? Let's see. That's actually a great point. I forgot because you're huge on you probably run a bunch of validators. I think you do, right?
I am. I do. Yeah, I have validator script set and all that for people.
Oh, nice, man. Nice.
Yeah, I'll put that in the chat, by the way, if anyone's interested. tinyurl.com/go-validate will take you to the info on that. We got it. Yeah, what I did see when I saw this morning, it was like down 40% or so. What are we looking at now?
No, you're right. 2K to run a validator.
Okay.
Yeah, it's down about 40% on the day. Insane, man. Insane.
But I got one question on Mintra before we get into all the fun. Will Mintra list and sell Watsas in the future, Gerardo?
Yeah, they're already on there. So you just go to explore collections, go to the filter here, go to your DeFi NFTs, apply, boom, there she is, Watsa. 21,000 supply is what I assume you guys are talking about. No volume of Watsas though. Looks like it looks like diamond handing them. But yeah, go trade your Watsas, guys. HSIs, again, I mentioned the NFTs. NFTs are actually beating the Watsa guys and HSIs on volume. So it's a little friendly competition there, but
when monkey pictures for Watsa NFTs, Dev, since you would know, you would know.
Yeah, right now this was supposed to be a placeholder. I think it even says placeholder.
Yeah,
but it's been there since the beginning, which is kind of funny. It's all good. I think these DeFi NFTs have a higher value or a different value proposition than just the JPEG, though, which is the underlying tokens. Right? That's why I'm calling them DeFi NFTs. I feel like
I call them that as well. I was like, what did I say? They're DeFi NFTs, like because they have this, this accruing value, this game of chicken who can burn it first. You get the less of the pull percentage. That's actually an interesting question. Do you think that the art, how much part of the price would the art go into versus the redeemable value for Watsas, do you think?
I mean, I think the art might help. I think it's a little bit of everything. Like I've said this a few times. There are like what gives an NFT value? It's the same as an ERC20 token, in my opinion. It can be a lot of things, whether it's real world club access to something like a membership, whether it's the community backing it, whether it's the art, right? There is value in art, I believe, whether it's you know, the underlying liquidity, like the Uniswap NFTs, or like the Watt says, they have underlying tokens that are redeemable, and it just encapsulates a position, and then it becomes tradable, which I think is really cool. But I think it's a little bit of everything. So if you can add all of those little things to an NFT, or if you want to just go hard in one lane, I mean, it's up to the originators of these collections. But would art help on these guys? I think so. Give them a little bit of uniqueness other than just the token ID and the, you know, the metadata, like the M points, for example, or the B points. That's really the only metadata these guys have. But yeah, I think some art would be nice.
Yeah, I think that's because the place, I mean, it's there for a reason. The placeholder's there because we expect, or we have no expectations of future art, but that could get the people who are less interested in DeFi part to be like, oh, there's art. And also this thing, you can sell it for ICOs. You can sell it for this other token thing. Get the people who aren't familiar with the ecosystem kind of a running start into it. That'd be cool. Yeah. Ed asked why you had the chart up there a second ago too. Any quick TA?
Man, in this environment, forward-looking statements on price of a allegedly unregistered security offering.
What? Don't know what you're saying.
You have to be asking the wrong guy. I know that's a weird thing to say because I used to be like all TA, right, on my channel. But even then, I used to always have to do the typical influencer preface, which is everything I say is for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a financial advisor, yada, yada, which is all true. And at the end of the day, you press the red or the green button and you either wreck yourself or you make yourself. So I'm just a dude on the internet, man. And I'm looking at the same chart you're looking at. If you see any lines you want to draw lines, be my guest. But I don't know if I can draw lines for you today.
Okay, limited lines from Gerardo today. I usually draw no lines or have capabilities to do so. I try to be, you know, there's a lot of TA guys out there. I'll let you guys do your thing. I can be the validator, security kind of dev wannabe guy. I'll be that guy with that. I'll do that.
Nice, man. You don't do any lines TA on your channel?
No, actually, I don't do any TA doing. I mean, other than looking at a chart price, yeah. No. Yeah, actually, there's plenty of good reasons that I prefer to stay away from that as well. Anyways, Hold brings this up, which I think is maybe a good intro as well. I don't own any RH coins, but I'm more pissed than any holders. For what that is, but it's definitely a religion. How did you feel when you saw first? Like when did you see, you know, what happened, and then like what was your initial reaction, or like how have you like how are you feeling about it right now?
Well, let's see. I woke up and, as per usual, I checked X, formerly known as Twitter. I checked Telegram. It was actually the Telegram Mintra chat. Someone dropped a link and they were like, "Oh, Richard's being sued by the SEC," and I was like, "Is this another spammer dropping a scam link?" I even hesitated to click the link. I was like, "Let me see," but luckily it opened in that little in-app browser. And I was like, okay, it was a proper website at that point. I was like, oh shit. So I read through it. Oh, am I allowed to curse on your channel? Sorry.
Yeah. No, I don't monetize, so go for it. Yeah.
So I was like, oh man, and I saw this, did a little research, and sure enough, there it is. Read all of it. A lot of it was factually incorrect, as some of you have have talked about, like on Twitter Spaces and whatnot. I was on Accept Cookies Twitter Space earlier. He's been running like all day Twitter Space talking about this. And yeah, man, a lot of interesting takes. How do I feel now? To directly answer your question, slightly unfazed, just because I've been in crypto since 2017-ish, right? So I've seen this kind of thing. I've seen this FUD. I've seen, I not super closely, but I followed a little bit the XRP stuff. And obviously this is different because there is no actual underlying company. That was X broken for you? Funny.
Yeah, apparently. It's probably my browser.
The underlying company, but then you see the way they worded it, calling HEX, PulseChain, and PulseX Richard Hart's alter egos because they couldn't go after a proper entity. So I thought that was kind of entertaining. I mean, it's all a shit show, man. Like, we're fighting for our freedoms here in more ways than one. I'm not surprised, to say the least. But like Elon Musk says, man, like you want to wake up and be excited for the future. And are you excited for a future where other men decide what you can invest in, what you can't invest in, how much money you need to make to be an accredited investor so they can decide what what you want to buy. I don't like that future. I want a future where you have trustless, permissionless transactions. The freedom to transact underpins a lot of other freedoms. So fundamentally speaking, from first principles, I think, I think we're in a multi-chain world, and something like what the SEC requested Coinbase to do, delist everything other than BTC, to steal Corey's word, I think is antithetical to the thesis of, this multi-chain world, this free world where you're free to transact. And I want a world where, the freedom to transact is a thing, and people honor it, and people live by it, and they build tech around that. So we're fighting a real fight right now. I think the old world seems to be grasping really, really hard, reaching for maintaining what this power that they've had entrenched for the longest time, the powers that be. And I think they're just reaching, man. It's all a dirty game for them, in my opinion. That's my rant.
Is it how interesting is it that do you think it's coincidental that it's right before the movie comes out, and is this good? Is this like being on the CoffeeZilla retweeted or has been tweeting about this too? What are the good? We know. Okay, short term, it looks like it kind of sucks, whatever. But getting this kind of publicity, like, is this? Can this be turned into like something really good?
I think it could be. If you saw my tweet earlier, it's with every adversity comes the seed of equal or greater benefit. I think it's true. So it can be flipped. You're right. If people unify against, these accusations, these allegations, these narratives, and fight for. I'm just watching you fumble my username. That's okay.
It's not the easiest one. I'm going to tell you.
Fight for their freedoms. Oh, that's noted. It's good to know. Not good branding. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was like trying to bounce between two parallel combos.
Sorry, just trying to find your tweet as well.
It's literally at the top.
Oh.
No, you're good.
This one?
No, a little more. That's the pinned one. Those are me retweeting this. And there it is.
Oh, this one. Gotcha.
And you're using light mode. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to call you out.
God. Oh my God. All right. It's because I said your username is not the easiest to spell.
I think they're actually.
We can have this conversation because I think the people who need dark mode need certain things that I don't need quite much. I like white. I like clean. I like space. But we can have this conversation. Use Emacs as well. Can I say I use Vim and we argue over that as well? Nice. And you're like, I use VS Code. Fuck all that. See, dip catcher. That's my guy right there. That's
light mode good. Oh yeah, wasn't he gonna join our little stream here?
Boom! He just got introed.
Boom.
Back again. What's
back
up?
again? Supporting light mode. Welcome to the stream.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Good to see you.
Gerardo was explaining his tweet. Every adversity comes with a seed of equal or greater benefit. Yes, please continue. Because I think you're going with this one too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just to finish on that thought, I think it can be flipped into something positive, as with anything, right? Turn your stumbling blocks into stepping stones. Classic cliche. So, it's my take.
Well, Dipcatcher had a great one as well that I retweeted. This one, or I think I retweeted too. Yeah, see where I'm at. This, I made a poll. I want to click it here in a second too. I want to get back to it. But this one, it made me think of this poll, I believe, earlier today of this is either you're out or this is like where you're like, okay, I've got nothing left. This is what I'm going for. This is what I'm here for. This is what we're going to see what we're made of, like in the diversity part as well. Like, what do you think, Dipcatcher? How did you feel? I just asked Robert how you felt when you saw the news and stuff too. What was your reaction, and how did it make you waver? Did it give you strength? Like, how did it make you feel?
I mean, it's like it kind of surprised me, but also not at all. Like, that's not like entirely out of the question. I felt, kind of what I alluded to there. I really did feel this kind of sense of inspiration. It felt like kind of like a big breakthrough moment. It's almost like validation, where like it's like this has become such a beast that now it's drawing attention. Like if this was some like do nothing community or just like some, dying thing, it wouldn't be garnering that type of attention. So, I think it was kind of like a breakthrough moment. And I think that like the worst case scenario is like no different than anything that otherwise could have possibly happened. It's like okay, prices went down a little bit, but prices already went down for reasons totally unrelated to this for like the last 2 years. So it's like price going down isn't even really a bad thing. It's just something that's always happened. So that's like one, and it's like, okay, maybe there's on one hand, maybe it's dragged out in court and turned into this whole spectacle where Richard only gains more support. And so, okay, that's like one possible scenario. And then in terms of whether it's like a win or loss, it's like, okay, there's almost no difference between the two. Like, what are they going to do? Delist it from Coinbase? Okay. So I don't think that it, like, no matter what happens, it's kind of like the same thing. It's just like a different outcome. And I think that we'll do what we do best, which is, shift the narrative and shift the frame so it goes in our benefit, and perhaps rewrite some history, and then it's okay. It's like, I think that we have a really positive outlook that lets us, not kind of waver when things like this happen. We can just, take a step back, assess the new reality, and then keep on carrying forward. So I think it's probably a good thing that this is something that's going to kind of bring us all together. In some ways, I feel like there's kind of been some fracturing, and hopefully this can be an opportunity to kind of come back together as Hexicans.
Can only hope. I mean, it'd be different too. I mean, so have you all read the complaint? Have you read like through the details or anything? So is there? I can't see a lot of things that are, one, even accurate, and two, mean anything or haven't already been talked about to death or debunked, or just like not even. I don't know. It just doesn't. So when I first saw the news, I was like, oh, okay. It kind of hit me for a second. All right, whatever. Let's. And then I kind of, I read the publication and stuff, and I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, what is the worst case here? That like whatever, $12 million, this or that. Like Dip Pitcher said, like, what is it? You're gonna ask Coinbase to delist something that doesn't not even listed there, and like what could even? I don't know. I don't want to speculate on what could happen or the future stuff or anything, but I'm just thinking. It just seems like they're suing Coinbase. They're going after all these things. It seems just like they're just fishing. I don't see this like open and shut case that they would even bring it against him, other than they think he's some like easy target because he twerked in front of cars one time. Like I don't get it. I don't get it. Like why now, and why before the premiere? Is it coincidental?
I mean, I don't know if they even knew or cared about the movie premiere.
Oh, they do now. They do now.
now everyone, so it's kind of convenient timing in that sense. But it's almost like the things that they're trying to paint the picture of, it's like, I guess, pretty common in terms of the like what their role is as the SEC, where they want to try to say that these were unregistered securities offerings, and then they're trying to prove what makes it a security. And so they take the things like the like the sacrifice and the AA as, poolings of money. They take his, words and actions as entrepreneurial effort to deliver ROI. And then they take the photos with the shopping sprees and the cars, and they say, misappropriation. And so it's like, I think that, from the outside looking in, if, you're not so familiar, it might look like that. But like, I think that all of us kind of have the nuance. And I think that's something that we should really just make an effort to share with new people who are just hearing about this for the first time, that like, just kind of the way that we approach like risk and fundraising and all these other things. And so, because like, it's like, it would appear that, money was raised to build PulseChain, but I think where they got it completely wrong is that how they were trying to position it as, the $12 million of misappropriated funds. It's it's like one that like those aren't investor funds. Like they were calling them investor funds, but those aren't like in the sense of like, say there's a like, because if you look at, I was looking at the SEC website like just this week. So this is so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So just this week they have published 9 other lawsuits.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like that. Like literally almost every day of the week, they're publishing a lawsuit against. I mean, a lot of these are like something equity, something capital, something. So like generally they appear to be against like hedge funds or other investment vehicles. And in that case, where it's like there's investor funds that are going into something, and then maybe they're like using investor funds for whatever. That's like very, very different from in this case where it's all where like the funds that are changing hands here, it's not investor capital. Like it's not money that he's managing on behalf of people. It's not money that like people have equity in. Like when you deposit, when you sacrifice or when you sent your HEX in, you're not gaining equity in any type of system. Like, and those funds, like they're not owed back to you. Like, so it's really revenue. Like say Richard Hart is as like, Richard Hart Inc. or Richard Hart Limited or whatever, that is revenue to that entity. That's not investor funds. And so there's really no like misappropriation because it was really never appropriated in the first place. And everybody really kind of, everyone going into it understood that it wasn't like, there was really no, I mean, maybe some people did, but I don't think you could have accidentally sacrificed for PulseChain and not known what the deal was. And so I think that like, that's it. Like, I mean, of course I have some background working in like legal, consumer protection, like consumer protection company, like this legal firm. And, of course I'm not a lawyer, but if I was like, trying to position that, like I would kind of really push back on that particular topic and do my best to assert that like the any money that changed hands was not any type of investment contract like that. Like it was either revenue or donations. It wasn't in anything but that.
Wasn't there something in the complaint too about this onto just pedestrian inaccuracies? Like, oh, it can be 5 million pulse to be a validator, and I'm like, did you even on the website? There's a lot of information. We know it's more than that. The million X thing, it just, and then some of this, and I'm reading this like exorbitant luxury goods. It just seems like they're trying to build this up for people to care about it, but. Again, like as Rich would say, where are all the victims? Where are all the people? When you get scammed, you scream loudly. Where are they? Other than the SEC just saying stuff here.
My favorite one was inaccuracy was on page 21. It says PRC20 is a protocol designed by Hart and his developers that governs how the PulseChain network functions.
Oh Lord!
Like, I mean, but what do you expect? Like these are kind of pencil pushing lawyers that aren't smart enough to work at like the big law firms, so they go and work for the SEC, and so they probably just aren't equipped. They don't have the nuance. They don't spend all day learning about this stuff. They spend all day being pencil pushing dweebs. So it's just like a big difference, and it makes sense why they wouldn't have certain clear factor rate like that.
Nice, and that leads to a good question. Like, how do you think we bridge that gap between these pencil pushing people that actually do have the power to make the laws better, and the community that's constantly learning about these nuances who doesn't have that kind of power authority? Like, I think that's what we're trying to do here, right? Be that bridge.
Yeah, I mean,
and just
probably a combination of both, like insulating ourselves so that like we really aren't impacted by things and choices that they make, but also I think, asserting influence, whether that is, through our own political action or, just really effective networking and effective persuasion. So, but I mean, it is a challenging thing because it's like, not only do people like us want to influence, these government agencies, like billion-dollar international corporations also are trying to do that. And everyone's kind of beholden to their own interest. And so, you know, it's like, who really knows how much we could even persuade them to kind of, you know, see things from our perspective. And I don't know, maybe there's some level of, you know, it's like, it's one of those things where, I mean, even though, like, to be clear, the SEC stuff is entirely civil, like it's not criminal at all. Like there's really nothing, like there's nothing that is criminal about anything that they're alleging. Like it's entirely a civil lawsuit. And so maybe it's not even right to think, you know, to even put it in the same frame as, you know, things that are illegal or things that, you know, that like they will try to prosecute against. But it's kind of like, you know, perhaps there's, you know, some amount of civil disobedience that is like a critical piece in this that has really helped move the needle in the past, right? Like, you know, Rosa Parks sitting at the front of the bus, or, you know, like the marches, or, you know, how women, you know, sought to get the right to vote, and just like things where it's like things that are illegal but are just not right. And then it's up to people that have the willpower and the skin in the game in order to affect that change, sometimes through refusal. So there, who knows really how it'll kind of play out. It's probably going to be a game of cat and mouse in a lot of ways.
Do they just need to lose a lot? Like if they just keep bringing up these things where they're like, okay, we feel like we have something here, whatever, the guy's outrageous. I mean, Celsius and stuff, you know, those are the things where, oh yeah, finally you're going after someone who maybe had, you know, allegedly lost a bunch of money or did all these things that were shady. But is it, I don't know, it's talking about, you know, building bridges, like making them work better for the people. Is it just they need to stop being rewarded for going after things, going on the fishing expeditions, I guess? Like, what would make that easier?
I think it comes more down to if anyone in Congress, for the sake of PR for an upcoming campaign, wants to lead some effort to, you know, either dismantle or defund the SEC, and so that's probably, things like that are probably like more, I mean, really, like, this is a government agency, so like their actual performance doesn't matter. Like when you work for the government, like I know people who work very high up in the government, and one of their big frustrations is that there's no way to punish poor performance, and that like performance isn't even really the goal there. And so I don't even think it is something like really poor performance. I think it's more bad optics, or like, you know, scandals, or something that an elected official can use as a way to get themselves political points by going after the SEC. Not
we just don't have any, like, we just don't have any leverage. We just don't have any leverage right now. Like, nobody who cares to change the system has any leverage over the SEC.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. On this poll too, we'll go hit up Gerardo first. Which one do you think the community? So far, it's only been, you know, a couple hours. Got 100 votes. Most people are kind of shaking this. At least they click the button that shakes this off. Hey, they're suing Coinbase, or, you know, going through all these different ones that Pitcher mentioned too. They're just, you know, left and right trying to beat up crypto, whether it's, you know, legit or accurate or not. And then here's my how many people do you think in the community are going to be like, okay, this is it, I can't take it anymore. Like I've sacked, and the price is down, and you know, the guy doesn't want to tell me what he wants to do with stuff. I still got to have my own expectations. I could have bought it cheaper afterwards. All the stuff that you could focus on, that would be this ammunition to be like, I made a decision, I want to reverse. How many people do you think are going to do that? Do you think it'll stand up to 10% of the community? Do you think 10% will leave? Or do you think we're going to hold over 80 to 95% of the community will be like, you know what, we've had bad news before. This is not my first rodeo. We're going to stick through it. What do you think?
Man, I mean, I think it really comes down to how heavily invested you are, like how over leveraged you might be. And I mean, if you wanted an out, I would argue there were better prices like a month or two ago to get your out if you wanted that. Don't know if peak FUD is the time when you want to get out. Obviously not advice, but I mean, I think.
But what if it goes down further? What if it keeps going down?
I mean, and that's fair. That's actually very fair, because it could, right? As most cryptos can. But I would argue that your poll probably accurately reflects the majority of the Pulse and HEX community, even though it's, you know, only 100 votes. I would say that it's a decent representation of the whole. And I just voted. So
Nice. Your vote counts.
I mean, honestly, I think like 10%, 11%. That's probably actually good, right? Because I mean, isn't it something like 2/3 of all HEX buyers ever bought above 25 cents or something? Like,
oh, that's an interesting stat.
Like if you look at the HEX fire, like the number of stakers, for instance, and just like how that grew during the bull market, that's suggesting that, you know, many of those people got onboarded. And that's what makes the price go up so high, is just, you know, most new people. You know, in the very first couple of months, there's only, you know, a couple thousand people. But then when the bull market, like what makes the bull market is just many, many new people. It's like there's already people that are just down bad, you know? And like, I think you see a lot of the kind of that disgruntlement, you know, all around. And maybe it is 10% of, you know, like, you know, people that are just so frustrated. And then it's like, you know, maybe something, even though like this, like the FUD surround, like this is one of a handful of FUD related things, or just like, you know, negative outcomes. And it's like, okay, we've had how many like self-inflicted like negative, you know, kind of just like, you know, a handful of things, you know, that we all know about that like are just kind of like, just kind of add tension, or like, you know, maybe
why does the Barnsley boys be the first thing that comes to mind? I don't know. The soccer team, the Barnsley boys.
Yeah.
First thing came to mind.
I mean, like things like, you know, the division with like the staking and mining, and then the EHEX and PHEX, and like just kind of like the, you know, things with PulseX, like just these small things that like, you know, may cause disappointment. And like maybe this is like the cherry on top, you know, like, it, you know, where it's not like it's necessarily any, I mean, maybe this is one of the larger things to kind of, you know, drain people of positive energy around the situation. But yeah, I mean, you know, not everyone is going to be with us, and that's just kind of a natural turnover of, you know, of like a user base.
It's true, man. It's fair. Like when things get difficult, that's probably a true test of where people's loyalties lie. Sorry, RHMax, go ahead.
No, I mean, just on that, I think there's a lot of people too. And I'll get to everyone in the chat. I'll get the questions in a second. I see there's a few in here, but just explain to people that, you know, when this type of stuff happens, when these events happen, when not good news happens, at least short term, for example, who knows how it's going to turn out? Maybe everything goes to the moon because now everyone knows about it, and the SEC Gensler resigns and everything's fine. Who knows? But these type of events keep happening. You know, they happen from time to time. We get some good news every once in a while too. PulseChain launched. It could have not launched. We could be sitting here right now and PulseChain still be like, 2 more weeks. That could happen, but it didn't. How do you? I don't know. People, again, maybe people have been here for a while. I know you guys been following Richard for a long time. I have as well. But how do you just keep taking these hits too? How you're like, you know what? Just make me stronger. Make me stronger. Like, how do you even? I think it takes a special mindset to not be upset right now. Like, I'm not upset. I'm really not. I was less upset after I read more about the thing than I was even before. I mean, I wasn't upset before, but like I was even less concerned. So how do you just keep taking the hits and be like, one day moon? I don't know. What do you tell people who are just like, I'm out. This is not crypto that I signed up for it.
It's life, man. It's like there's a good quote I heard the other day, which was, you can't expect to have the influence and power of like the kings of old without constantly being at war, right? Like you just can't expect it. And especially with things crypto is trying to do, like literally revolutionize finance. You can't expect not to have battles along the way, right? Like that's what I would tell those people. It's like, are you really about it? Well, then you should have expected this. Do you know what you're involved in? You should have probably expected this. So, and if you didn't, well, it's a good learning opportunity. But it's also you're out, like you said. If you don't want part of this battle, you don't have to be part of it. But do you want to be on the right side of history? I guess that's the question, right?
Yeah, as our friend Somi likes to put it, if you can't handle it, just click the sell button and get out. Stop annoying the rest of us. I love the way he says it.
It's not easy.
This question, well, this kind of a good point we can make a question from. So what is the, how would you say we would get anything good out of this? You know, we talked about the marketing and publicity. Lots of people are going to know about it. CoffeeZilla retweeted it. SEC's got published on their website. It's all over, you know, we haven't even seen what kind of news is going to cover this and what shade or how they may frame it. But what is the case for this being a good thing for the community? Like, what needs to happen for this to be like, okay, this is the rocket ship. This is finally the bottom, and we get the mini bull run or whatever from it. Like, what needs to happen for that?
I mean, it's like the only people that can sell are the people that already have this stuff. So like, you know, and maybe a lot of that was this morning, you know, like, and anyone who had something to sell, it's like they've had months and months and months and months to sell. And so like, you know, how much more, like by now it's like, you know, maybe it takes one or two more waves down or one or two more sell cycles. But like at this point, who's left to sell? Maybe it makes the pumps a little bit harder because maybe like people are, okay, I'm not going to sell now, but like once this reaches some level, maybe it kind of loads up some future sell pressure. And, you know, maybe there's, you know, people that would have, you know, maybe if they were caught at the right place, right time, heard about HEX or PulseChain, would have bought, and now maybe they're like, oh, like, what's this SEC thing? You know, where maybe those people are now not potential buying candidates. But I don't know. I mean, I think if we can frame this as kind of like like HEX is the one taking on the SEC and like more of kind of like a populist type of message around like, you know, like among who else should be there to take this fight? Like it's a little different. Like with like XRP and the XRP army, they, you know, were fighting it. But what it really was like Ripple as a corporation having a legal dispute, and like Ripple the corporation is very different from the XRP army. Like the people, like there wasn't like such a strong like connection between Ripple corporation and XRP crowd on Twitter, and you know, and like and so it was really like kind of a victory for Ripple the corporation. But I think what's different about us is that like, and I think also kind of what confuses people on the outside is that I think a lot of people within the community, like they almost view Richard as an extension of themselves, where like they have no problem with Richard being in control of $680 million of stable coins and, you know, a huge amount of the HEX supply, because they feel like they are one with Richard in that way. And so like I think there's more of this kind of like this tight bond there that gives our group a lot of energy. And if we can, you know, promote ourselves as like we're taking on oppression, we're taking on the institutions, they're coming for all of us, you know, good thing it's us, not you, because you're not strong enough to do this, then it's I think that we can perhaps kind of flip the script on how people view, you know, all of us. And I mean, I think that like throughout this, it's like, okay, like probably the boring route that could actually happen is just like a fine where Richard gets fined, carries on, and then maybe that even like confirms people's kind of negative beliefs, or like this thing gets dragged out in like a big dramatic theatrical way. And I think in that situation we can gain a lot of support from people who didn't before. We can potentially have like a very public victory, and you know, or even in defeat, it's like just the theatrics of it and the like you know, people being drawn to that story of like kind of like a David versus Goliath type of thing. I think there's something that positive to be gained out of that.
I think didn't XRP wasn't it like they got fined for selling to institutions but not retail? I feel like that was some kind of precedent, which is funny for here because there are no, like there was not even a sell thing here. There was just the AA and the sacrifice stuff, pretty much just to retail. I mean, as far as, I mean, maybe there's some, I don't know all the people who sacked and stuff, but
yeah, I mean, only retail. And like, it wasn't like, I mean, I'd say PulseChain is a little different with the HEX adoption amplifier. It wasn't like the, you know, because with Ripple, it's different where like they had all the supply and then they used it as a fundraising technique for their corporation. And so they go out and they fundraise and they're like, okay, well, you can buy these tokens from us. They'll be liquid. And maybe there are other things involved in those deals, like equity or some type of like, debt arrangement or something. But that's different. Where like in Hex, there's no supply to sell, and with PulseChain, it was more like the whole like sacrifice, and then it's like maybe that could be viewed differently by the law, or by the court. But it's like again in that case it was like more like a donation or more like revenue, and not like he's going out fundraising and like cutting deals. It was like kind of this fair and open system where that no one made anyone participate in.
Right.
And, and it's not like it's not like any promises were made at all. But the only just like suggestion was that you were going to get these airdrop points, and then they would convert into PLS tokens and PLSX tokens. And then there was a spreadsheet or whatever, the sacrifice checker that showed you how many points you got. And there seemed to be a very good faith effort of making sure that people got what they, put, like a fair amount. It seemed like hoops were jumped through to account for people that might have been hacked afterwards, or people that accidentally sent from an exchange. Like it seemed like there was a serious effort to do good and be fair across the board. And then what was, I don't want to say promised, but what was suggested actually did happen. It's like the amount of pulse I got matched up exactly with the sacrifice points that were there. And it was exactly what I had, based on the rules that were published and how it was all executed. So it's like, not like there was ever any type of, wrongdoing, or, it's like everything was exactly what was suggested. Like, so
yeah. Richard has went out of his way to tell you he will do no work for you. Like all this stuff, he's went out of his way in a lot of ways to make sure that everything looks legit, integrity's there, all that stuff. UFO's got an interesting thing too. So why do you all think that Richard got tipped off by this coming and he hasn't been streaming because of that? Or is it literally just waiting for good news because he wants to be the fearless leader to stream? What do you think, Gerardo?
Man, well, I don't know if he got tipped off necessarily. I think he just read the room. Like the SEC, as Dipcatcher noted earlier, they've just been going crazy, man, just suing left and right, not providing really clear regulatory frameworks, to the point where even politicians, senators are standing up, and the whole fire Gary Gensler, restructure the SEC movement. People are actively working towards this stuff. And so I think if you just read the room a little bit, you're like, maybe right now, in the macro, it's not the best time to be streaming. And I think he kind of did that a while back. And at the same time, you're building something and doing your best not to have people expecting things, right? Reducing expectations. I think it's a combination of all of that. I don't think there's necessarily one person who's like, hey, yo, the SEC's coming after you. He doesn't strike me as the type of person to like, oh, shoot, I guess I'm going to have to stop streaming. And when did he stop streaming? Like a year ago? So I think it was just in the middle of being busy and building, read the room, realized the macro isn't as conducive to crypto entrepreneurs, especially in the States. And he just kind of is playing some 4D chess. But I mean, I love the energy of what you guys are talking about. I sent you a tweet, RHMax, if you can pull it up. I do want to get into this because it's about everything we're talking about right now. This one account with very little following, but I absolutely love their tweet. I'm not going to retweet that right now, so more people can see.
I will put it up here.
Realizing slowly that the non-RH led HEX is about as close to punk rock crypto as it gets. You buy HEX in 2023 if you're sick of crypto Karens telling you what you should and shouldn't buy, what isn't a scam. Buy my paid course. You buy HEX if you're sick of, you can read the whole thing, but it's basically HEX stands for something greater. It stands for the movement of like, you can't tell me what I can and what I cannot do with my money. It's greater than all of us, right? And hopefully it becomes a positive precedent for crypto in the future if we're to get some sort of success or victory out of this, which I think is in the cards. So retweeted for visibility, but I think this really captures the energy of what we're going for. Like, remember who the real enemy is. Remember that quote from Hunger Games. Stop the infighting. Like, Come on, guys.
Lots of Hunger Games analogies and references I can think of with this too. Yeah, what do you think, Dipcatcher? What buy HEX in 2023? If you're sick of cryptocurrency anyway, shouldn't buy? Sick of watching people get away with murder, be it free pass, SBF. Yeah. How does this make you
kind of always
feel?
been the counterculture, right? Like,
There you go. That's a good word to describe it. Yeah.
There's kind of this like, there's like the normie crowd that like only buys crypto when Tom Brady is tweeting about it. And then there's kind of like the crypto normie crowd who like, listen to Tone Vase and like, listen to all these just like, big time crypto Twitter accounts that like, they don't actually invest. They just get paid to shill stuff. And they like, they weren't getting paid to shill HEX. So they weren't going to support it. And so their followers, so that kind of normie crypto crowd that just like jumped on the whole HEX is bad bandwagon for no reason. And it's like we've always been kind of going against that. And I think that we've had a lot of victories over them, with overperforming them dramatically. And then also like, it's like our stuff went down in price back to where it was during a raging bull run in early 2021, whereas their stuff actually went to true zero. Like their money was gone. It's like big difference in terms of like our worst case scenario is just like, okay, we gave back the gains from the last year of the bull cycle. Like, okay, who cares? It's like, oh no, now instead of up thousands of X, we're only up hundreds of X. Boo-hoo. Like, and so that's the, like, I think we're like, now it's like this probably like, the first, all those people that have just been wanting HEX's down, like calling for HEX's downfall. They're like, haha, got you. And when in reality, it's probably like, okay, short-term bearishness. Only more people are going to learn about HEX in our little world now. And, the worst case scenario is probably already behind us. And so
I want to see the staker numbers, the holders. I want to see all those metrics from the start of the, even now. I mean, even since the stuff came out, I kind of want to be watching those numbers. And then when the documentary comes out this weekend, I'm hoping for something good to come out of it. I like the counterculture point too. That is, it's not easy to be that. It's not. It's you kind of got to, all these things. They're not really contrarian, but it's kind of like you have to have belief in something. Okay, I'll just say it the way I've said it a million times. Like, you got to bet on some horse. You have to pick a product. To me, the way I think about it, I have to pick a product. I have to pick an ecosystem. I have to pick an ideal to put my time, money, sweat, energy into. And found Richard, found his products, found his ideals, love that stuff. Why not try it? I would be more mad at myself for not trying. And like, if all goes to zero, okay, cool. At least I tried. At least asymmetric upside. It can, I could be a billionaire, or I could just keep working my day job. Like, I'm okay with that. Maybe not everyone is. Not everyone's okay with it, but I am. So you got to make that choice for yourself. But man, from what I've seen and what I've been around and good and bad in this community, ain't nothing like it. And I'm not concerned. Let's say that. I'm not concerned. But before we get off here, though, I want to wrap up. But Dipcatcher, win party dev. I want to see it. When is it?
Literally sooner than ever. If I wasn't so distracted by all this other stuff, it'd probably be out by now. But
stop tweeting. We need it. We need the party. Party's got to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's really like it's all built, and then the front ends are just about done. But I keep just improving the contracts and improving, the, like right now, the thing that I'm working on is just some innovation around liquidity in the, like, built into the HEX stake pools. Like, because I don't necessarily feel in a rush. Like, it's like if kind of the demand in general for HEX is low, it's like not like we're like, there's kind of almost like no rush. And so we're kind of taking advantage of the situation, and just, making it overall like a better product and better protocol. So, yeah, but I mean, very, very soon we'll probably have something on like a private test or a public test net here in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, party. We need maybe this will be the thing that kind of cools down the excitement for a couple weeks, and then we'll get it.
The party don't start till Dick Catcher walks in. Oh, that's the theme song, unofficial theme song right there. And Gerardo, we talked about Mintra in the beginning. What we want people to know, they're excited about that as well. All these products on PulseChain, people just want to see them. They want to see them eat the DeFi ecosystem alive. What any thing you want to share with people before we end on that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, test.mintra.pro. It's out on testnet v4. We've been iterating on it, building in public now. Already had 2 minor updates. Little things like adding that carousel. Oh, we're adding PRC20 support finally. So not only do you transact in PLS, but you can also trade your NFTs with ERC20 tokens. Fun. May or may not introduce the whole trading NFTs for NFTs thing, which is also kind of cool, kind of like trading cards. But yeah, there's a lot of improvement that can be done, right? Like infinite improvement, scope creep, I guess you could call it. But yeah, what else? See, PRC20 support, some boring stuff too, like CDNs, content delivery networks. Just what else are we working on lately? I mean, yeah, dude, just stick around. The updates are there. Anything else will be tweeted about on Mintra.io on Twitter. Yeah, man, I'm just excited to see people trade their NFTs on an ecosystem with lower gas fees. Right now, a swap for your NFTs is pretty much pennies, right? Now, to be fair, there is a difference between gas fees on PulseChain testnet v4 and actual PulseChain mainnet. Not sure if you guys have played around with both and seen the difference, but there is quite a difference. So it will be different, right? So don't expect to pay 0.003 pulse like you do on testnet for your swaps.
What do you mean? I've been paying like a fraction of a cent for transactions this whole time on PulseChain. You guys been paying more than that? I've just been waiting like 2 or 3 weeks for it to go through. Is that different? I'm joking.
You're joking. Satire. I was like,
yeah.
It's like what 100 pulse, I think, for a PulseX swap right now.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, it's the transactions are cheaper now. The pulse price went down, right? There you go. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for you guys come on. Fantastic conversation. Again, sorry the stream started late, but life is it's beautiful outside and it's summertime, so that's all I got to say about that. Gerardo, where can people find you and learn more about your stuff?
Just on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm still having a hard time saying that. Gerardog is GERAWRDOG, and that branches out my links into the rest of the interwebs. But yeah.
I spelled it right this time, right? Gerardog. It's GERAWDOG. Yes, that's how you do it. I got it. Tanto no Mini, where can people find you? What are you working on? All that stuff.
Find me on Twitter. You'll see everything there. Also follow Maximus_DAO on Twitter, and you'll see all of the HEX and PulseChain related things that we're working on. Up next is Pool Party, the much awaited, soon to be out HEX stake pooling protocol. So in perfect time.
Boom.
Beautiful.
Looking forward to it.
We got all right, everyone. Beautiful products launching on PulseChain. The world is not so on fire. Maybe it's not as much as you think it is. Just kind of zoom out a little bit, look at all the stuff. Amazing community. Don't think we're going anywhere. I am bullish. I'm long Richard Hartstock, and I'm long on HEX, PulseChain, and all the other stuff community as well. So good stuff. Everyone, Scivive and 5555. We are out.